Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS European Challenger. We're getting ready to move into our second match of the day. My name is Fear Dragon. I'm joined by In Control. We're
I'm
matching.
your twin.
We are.
We're twins.
We're twins. Basically identical.
And if you say otherwise, what's so different about us?
You work out and I don't.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's true.
Hairstyles are slightly different too.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
Otherwise, we're basically identical.
Yeah. And this next match is going to be a fun one. We got MaNa versus Lambo, moving away from that Zerg versus Zerg, going into that Zerg versus Protoss. Two players that I think had pretty impressive runs at the recent WCS events. Lambo with his kind of big sweep into the semifinals, and MaNa, of course, with WCS Austin, getting to the finals and putting up a good fight versus Cyril.
Yeah, both these guys kind of have this like recent larger-than-life showing, right? So Lambo this year showed some stuff at Home Story Cup and some other places where we were like, wow, is this the year of Lambo? Has all that work really paid off? And same with MaNa. MaNa at WCS Austin, like you said, had this huge showing. It was absolutely incredible. Since then, and by the way, since then it's been about a month. So
Yeah.
in the other few events that we've had, it hasn't been as impressive. So it can tend to have that feeling of like, what happened to them? But this is still European playoffs, and if one of these guys goes far as the next round where they lose to Cyril, I guess, then that's pretty impressive. That's something. So they're fighting for that.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to see how things go. It does look like the game is about to get started, though. Lambo versus MaNa should be a pretty interesting one. First map is going to be Acid Plant to kick things off. These are best of fives once again.
These pictures. Gold light for MaNa. Is that the Golden Armada that's to the left of him, you think?
Golden Armada or Golden Armana?
What? What'd you say?
Golden Armana, not instead of a Golden Armada.
Oh my God. What would Zombie... I know the exact look she'd give you, actually.
See, here's the thing. I actually hold back when Zombie comes around because I know she's not afraid to like
she slays.
punch me. But all right,
player introduction. Robbie, who are these guys?
All right, we're going to be starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the red Protoss player from Team Liquid. It is MaNa.
Oh, that's okay.
But
Not
Jeff,
quite $200,000.
Do you know who's in the bottom right? All right. Well, in the bottom right, we have our blue Zerg player. It's going to be Lambo. He's in that good old team clash.
I love that guy. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm feeling gushy right now. Yeah, he's just a really nice, fun guy. He's got like a little bit of cockiness to him, but it's the kind of cockiness that you don't mind because it's like it's nice because when he loses too, he's kind of a little bit humble about it. I guess he's kind of funny. I just like that guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty solid guy.
It's not possible to not like MaNa, so I feel like the hipster in me can't even say it. It's like, man.
MaNa's just super fun.
Yeah, I love his stream.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think one big thing to note about how, I would say, Lambo, what do you feel like was what sort of changed and helped him, like, in his playstyle or his mentality or whatever, that helped him make that big finish? Because I know for MaNa, a lot of it, there was, of course, like a crazy, crazy good run. But a lot of people were saying, like, he's playing just slightly different off-brand. It's, like, almost meta, but just little tweaks that make it kind of feel very different.
Well, in my off-the-cuff diagnosis of what Lambo did to become the better player, I would say it's the obvious stuff to start with, where he did go to Korea. He's been working a lot with the top European group, in particular Laser, who had a lot of success last year. So that all makes sense. He's just a better player. But what I think I find in his gameplay is he's playing the best of a lot better, and he's more decisive. So it's not quite like a, oh no, I'm playing someone that's quote-unquote better than me. I better have a full-on meltdown, mega all-in type of thing. He's still very much so a timing attack-oriented. They call them Clash Zergs. Like, the Clash Zergs are just not interested in going the distance, playing a long game with you. They're going to kill you early and often. And I think that's been really nice for Lambo, is that he's played the best of series, mixed it up, got better, but also is just very decisive about his tactics.
I can definitely understand a lot of that.
Yeah.
So we do have, by the way, MaNa confirms a scout on the third base. It's usually not going to be the two base all-ins from the Zerg players, but every so often they'll throw one out there, especially if you're Rotterdam. It seems like he faces against those pretty often.
His stream is just, it's so fun because it's Rotterdam complicating the wall-in process. They're seeing that and then deciding that that's going to be the game plan. And every time, Kevin's like, boys, I don't know. This wall-in, it's not my worst. It's not my best. The Zerg's like, Blood in the water! I can bailing bust all of it!
Well, of course, Lambo does scout out the Adept first, and while there is a Stalker follow-up there, usually Adept first is actually a pretty good signal that there's a very strong chance it's going to be that Stargate opening.
Yeah.
Lambo is assuming that. He would be correct. He's also starting up those sports, so it looks like he's got a pretty good read on it.
MaNa is a fairly, at least early game, formulaic Protoss. From what I gather when I watch him play, it's been a lot of, you're going to get the Stargate, and you more often than not will get the Archon drop follow-up. Now, of course, the nice thing in the meta right now is that Protoss has been mixing that up quite a bit, right? There's like a variance in the number of Adepts that show up. It has kind of settled on if you are going Archon drop, it's from Templar. Remember for a while it was Dark.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty cool. Nobody really does it anymore. I'm not quite sure. I guess it's too much of an investment if it doesn't work.
I think you just set yourself up so much better for the Storm if you go for the High Templar instead.
Good point. That's also very much so true. It's going to be another Oracle, though, so not a Phoenix, and that is interesting. And then we've also seen some Protoss shake it up where it's not even just the 2 Oracles, but like as many as 3 and sometimes 4. That can really defend a third, which we do have a very fast third over there. And then also it does this thing where it just dives on mineral lines. Now if I do it, you lose 3 oracles for 6 drones, but when these guys do it, it's like 12 drones and you lose maybe a oracle. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think that the queen is already over there. It's actually the second queen over there as well, so MaNa's not going to find any luck there so far.
Second Stargate though, it is the second Stargate.
Ooh, okay. So there's the second Stargate where you end up seeing a lot of Protoss players go into like that Phoenix production. Why did the like mass Oracle style really fall off so much?
Great question. Unfortunately, the answer, as far as I know, is really just that kind of funny thing about Starcraft, where things will work for a while, and then people adjust, and then, you know, and the adjustments are as simple as like they know to make 3 Spore Crawlers and keep making queens, and not get too aggressive and then move out after 4 bases. Whereas for a while, a lot of Zergs, and you'll see this when you watch games, they'll throw like 3 Hydras at a time into it. There's queens walking out by themselves. It's just that people get better about it. But then the strat goes away for a while, people forget how to react, and then it comes back, and that always happens in StarCraft.
And we do have 4th and 5th Oracles being made off of those Stargates, and I think a 6th Oracle just getting stirred up there, so it seems like we may actually be seeing a bit of that return here from MaNa. Revelation down.
Be gone!
And
that's your dad joke, you get it? You didn't watch Mortal Kombat, did you?
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's a throwback
It
reference.
just turned 20 a few days ago, actually. Did you know that?
That's pretty impressive. I mean...
And you're 17 years old, so this is like before your time.
Well, we're all under 30 is what I learned, right?
Not me, unfortunately.
Oh. Oh, you didn't see the pig clip, did you?
I heard about it. I heard that he was saying, what was he saying? It's like after 30.
He was saying after 30, you know, just forced to retire. No longer appealing to the kids anymore. Okay, well, that is a pretty magnificent scout there from Lambo, because not only does he see the double Stargate, but he sees the massive flood of gateways coming out behind it, so he knows it's not just going to be a hard commitment to nothing but oracles.
Yeah, it's a little bit all over the place though, right? So here's the oracles. They are striking on top of this, and you can see that reaction from Lambo. So it is going to be multiple Spore Crawlers. You cannot rely on just the one.
That hatchery.
Oh, he will.
Yep.
It's a dead hatch. But he also sees the huge gateway explosion behind this, and I really like this as a 1-2 punch from MaNa, because the Oracles by themselves are a problem, especially the 4th going down, and now you're on equal base against the Protoss. But you know it's a ton of charge lots, probably backed by Archons behind that. And with the Oracles, you're like, well, I want to make Hydras, but there's going to be a bunch of Zealots. So you got to make Banelings, but that's like a 4 or 5 base economy kind of thing.
He doesn't even have a Baneling Nest right now. I wonder if he's actually going to go for it.
He'll have it in 17 seconds. 740. Are you ready?
I'm very ready for
What if at 740 he builds a Baneling Nest?
I mean, then finally can we get a Reddit thread for Jeff saying, wow.
Wow, for a guy who's usually just funny, doesn't know anything, he's pretty smart, I suppose. God, I want to say that. It didn't happen though. Dang it. Lurker Den.
Lurker Den. Okay, you know, that is another valid way to try and deal with like a massive number of charge lots if you can get up to the Lurkers in time, because, oh my God, the only thing that I think has felt like it takes longer to build than a Dark Shrine is a Lurker Den. Lurker Dens take forever to come up.
I don't build Lurker Dens because I'm fiercely loyal to the Sons of Ire. So.
Oh, okay. Well, Storm is on the way. Remember, Well, I'm feeling a little bit of that pain right now because you think about a lurker den in a situation where, yes, there's a lot of oracles, so there's going to be a revelation. There's also going to be something that can help deal with it, but there's no robo. And oftentimes you think about a pros player, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to deal with lurkers with my immortals. And there's not even going to be an observer, so he's relying purely on those revelations.
This Zerg is about to be scanned more times than a person going through like a normal U.S. airport. Like it's going to be insane. It's a good thing their lifespan's pretty short because they're going to definitely have some like, you know, radiology poisoning or whatever. It does take a long time, dang.
Yeah, right? It's still building right now. Storm is actually going to finish up in time. But Lambo also still has to take a bit of time to morph in those lurkers, so I don't imagine he's going to be committing just yet. That does give MaNa even just a little bit more time to build up some energy on those oracles, build up some energy on those high Templars. I like that Lambo's sending a couple of rogues ahead, scouting out those stasis traps.
Look at that changeling continent. You don't see that very often.
Oh, that was a changeling.
You must think that, well, it didn't trigger it. I think that the whatever that is, the Ro8 did.
Yeah.
The changeling's got to be like, God, they know. And I'm just sitting here. And it's life's depleting, actually. Go look at that. Go look at that. It's life's depleting.
Or was it, Jeff?
It's not.
It was the stasis trap.
It preserves it.
It was the stasis trap that was depleting.
Wow.
Today you learned.
Just found the key to immortality.
Just stay in stasis?
Yes, just constantly get stasis.
Is it really worth being immortal if you have absolutely nothing you can do during it?
It's a huge question. I would say for all the people that... Man, I had such a good joke. There's going to be something about they do something but it equates to nothing. But then I can't think of what to hate on appropriately. I'm like, I kind of like everything.
Okay, here we go. MaNa's going to be trying to jump on these lurkers right now. He managed to take out a good chunk of them, but the oracles are actually getting stormed a little bit. The Hydra's taking some damage, but MaNa just does not seem like he has enough here.
Yep. Good plan. Got way ahead. Snipes the fourth base. Mass Oracle's cool. Charge Archon not bad, but Lurker's still pretty good. Now MaNa's gonna strike back here a little bit. Unfortunately, that's a little baby punch. That's a little and it just like hits you right in the chin. You're like, wow, look at that. Our little guy's punching.
Where are the double immortals? Okay, so they're coming out over by the third base. There is an opportunity here.
No.
No?
Get out. I heard you hyping up this excitement, and I'm like, Robbie. He's like...
Well, my thought was that he has an opportunity to snag the lurkers from the back, and then he goes for across the map with a big counterattack.
Snag lurkers, my man. They still punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Look at this. Watch him snag them here in a second.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, he's missed.
That is a way
That's
to
a
do
snag.
it.
That's
funny, yeah. Gets up and walks over there.
All right, well, of course, the problem is nothing in the main base now because MaNa has been, of course, focusing on just trying to get units out over the third. There's the GG.
And it is not with a boom, but with a whimper.
There's a little bit of hope in my voice there.
There's a lot.
There was a lot.
There's a lot, and that's so good that you still have that hope. But when there's 9 lurkers or whatever it was planted outside of your fourth base, and unfortunately, I feel like on some of these maps, the hard call is, and this is, I've been here, by the way, millions of times. You're like, I'm ahead, and then lurkers show up, and you're like, I'm still ahead, so I'm going to fight this. And then you fight it, and you're like, whoa! And that's exactly what happened. I mean, his only choice was to see that's happening, lay down like 30 stasis wards, and then counterattack. Because it's only when the lurkers pop up and they're out of that position that you can carpet bomb with Storm, and then actually snag them, as you were saying. But that's a risky and scary way to play. And like I said, it's also weird when the beginning of that game went so well for MaNa. There was absolutely nothing. I think he didn't lose a single Oracle, or if he did, it was maybe one that I missed. He snipes a fourth base, gets some drones, pins back the Zerg. But it's just Lurkers kind of, that is one of the ways that, you know, people talk about comeback mechanics. That's one of the best ways for Zerg. It can make that difference.
Absolutely. I mean, the Lurkers just acting as such a strong force in those engagements, and now we end up seeing kind of a situation where Lambo was looking like he had a bit of a rough start, got a very late scout on like the double Stargate and everything else, so things, like you said, were going so well for MaNa, but things turn around and Lambo finds a way to reclaim victory there. But going to game number 2, it's going to be a best of 5, and I think the cool thing about those kind of builds from MaNa is that that's one of those things that you're like, okay, is this something that like that could happen again? Like, things still went well for MaNa in the beginning, and if MaNa reacts a little bit faster to lurkers because he sees them coming, I think that maybe he gets up those robos a little faster, he has some immortals, game looks a little different.
Well, okay, we are getting into that second game, and I do agree with what Ruby was saying. There's a lot of things that worked well for MaNa there, and it is a best of 5, and that in and of itself has its own layer of strategy. Excuse me, it's early morning, so sometimes words become but that was layer. Anyways, bottom left-hand side from Poland, it's Team Liquid's MaNa. You guys have heard the word Team Liquid before? You, of course, have. They recently lost to the Evil Geniuses at another tournament.
Yeah. Team Liquid did, in fact, lose somewhere to something.
That's right. Speaking of Evil Genius, on the top right-hand side, not from that team, it's Lambo.
Where does the evil genius come in?
Yeah, he just is an evil genius.
I think he's not that evil. He's a pretty nice guy.
Do you think he's a genius?
I
Say it, Ruby. Do you think he's a genius?
think
Did you
he's
call
pretty smart.
Lambo a genius?
He's pretty smart.
Is he pretty smart?
I was gonna say he's pretty
He's
smart.
a smart guy.
He's a smart guy.
Let me ask you this, because this is the casual, fun atmosphere we have of WCS Challenger. Why do you think he's smart? Right? I love that you're like only a year or two into casting, and I'm going to accelerate your aging process by 20 years. At the end of this, you'll be like so jaded and so pessimistic. It's gonna be wonderful.
I just imagine you occasionally, like, you're hovering over me during the cast. It's like you're listening to me and Nate or something. I'm like a little more jovial, and you're like, I'll break him.
I'll take that happiness away. MaNa's gonna do the same thing, but to Ruby's point from earlier, by the way, I doubt it's gonna be mass Oracle, but when you open Stargate like that, and the nice thing the Protoss have kind of found, it doesn't have to be Oracle, Oracle, Phoenix, or Oracle, Phoenix, Oracle, or there is no set number. They all have different purposes that they kind of achieve. There's faster tech paths as the follow-up if you cut off a few units. We've seen Mass Phoenix. We've seen. You don't see the Void Race as much.
No,
You
but
do have to tune into Rotterdam stream for that.
what I do like about how MaNa also played that out, and I know this is not exactly like super innovative by any means, but he actually uses it, even though he knows that the Overlord's going to be there, he goes for the Adept, he goes to the Stalker, and then he'll keep that Oracle at home, just try and snipe off the Overlord as fast as possible, even though he doesn't get a Phoenix up. So if he does something similar again, it's going to look almost entirely identical as the previous game. If he doesn't go for the Phoenix, then that is going to be a situation for Lambo. He's going to say, okay, this actually does look exactly the same as the last game, even if he doesn't go for the second Stargate.
So, if you were wondering if both commentators could break down the same concept, then there it is.
All right.
Thank you, Ruby.
No problem, Jeff. I got your back.
It's like casting with Day 9 all over again.
Oh.
Like concept, and he's like, yeah, concept. And I'm like, okay.
Well, they do say that great minds think alike.
I'm gonna do, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a caster chicken game with you where you break down what I just said. I'm just gonna say it again. And I want to see if you'll say it a fourth
But
time.
here's the joke,
we
Jeff.
just get in this infinite loop of just constantly breaking down the same concept.
Here's the joke, Jeff, though.
What?
Is that if I'm not listening to you, I wouldn't notice.
That's true.
All
right, well, there was some kind of gas cancel there. I don't think we need to read too far into it.
Yeah.
And then behind that, it is still just the standard little Zerg thing. It must be nice. Lings, drones, and queens. It's like a... Nope, there's no joke there. I was looking for it. I was like, there's something here.
You tried. You gave it a good effort.
Some joke about queens, and I'm like, I think that'll go into inappropriate territory very quick. There you go. A couple of drones.
Already better than the last game. Killing off 2 instead of 1. And this is before the second Oracle arrives. And this is, I think, partially because also he sent it straight across the map instead of going for that Overlord immediately.
Right. Just breaking the pace here. And as you can see, there is no Stargate production after that. It's going to be the Robo. Get forward Robo behind this. Still the fast third Nexus, which is what you can do with those Orbals. Actually, is that a double Robo?
No, it's just a single, right?
Single Robo. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Third base going to be coming down behind this pretty quickly here for MaNa once again, though. He's got those 2 Oracles to buy a little bit of space, continue to poke and pressure. Those Lings not going to be able to do too much in just these low numbers versus 2 Adepts.
Poke and pressure, of course, my favorite form of yoga.
What is...
What's yoga?
Poke and pressure yoga?
Yeah, you've never heard of that?
No.
It's good.
It's like acupuncture?
Pretty similar.
All right.
doing a good job self-moderating, though. You keep saying these things, and my mind goes to places where I'm like, not now, Jeff. Not on a WCS broadcast. Wait,
there are limits.
Break up. Yeah.
Oh man, the day that I end up casting with you at a home story cup,
Yeah, man.
that's the day I will break.
Oh, that'd be so fun. It'd be fun to see Ro8 unplugged like that. It'd be a different take. Well, we'll have to wait though. Now, what's the follow-up here? So there's that Temple Archives. A lot of people might look at this and say, well, it's weird, right? Because the Archons are going to show up quite a bit later, but it's nice because they get some stuff done. You can fight back creep. We see players like Puck in that North American scene do a really good job of being very aggressive with it. As long as you don't lose the Warp Prism and the Archons, of course, it just buys you time and space to get out Storm, get out Charge Lots. You can go double Robo if you like. It's definitely more of a Showtime kind of thing, or at least it was in the past. And kind of get that army up and going. It just occupies the Zerg. It's one of the most dangerous concepts in StarCraft you can do. And this is not a balance complaint, it's just actually factual. If you just leave a Zerg alone, you're in for a world of trouble. They will hit their injects, they will spread their creep, they will comfortably make a ton of drones way faster than you, and then they're going to show up with a tough army to deal with. But if you can harass them and just, honestly, just keep them active, the mistakes happen. The things get tripped up, they get stressed, and that's when you can beat them.
Okay. MaNa gonna be holding off on that Storm upgrade, so maybe going for one of those big attacks like you were talking about before.
I love this too. MaNa's one of the only guys that does it, though. It is gonna get picked up here. A lot of Protoss won't bother with it.
Oh, that's a third Robo. This is going back. No, wait. Sorry, that's the second Robo. Dang it.
Almost got there though, didn't you?
You talked about the second Robo for so long that I just thought that there was a second Robo now. Yeah.
So that is Storm following up behind this. I like the second Robo. It's just good. Obviously, the big thing you have to be aware of when you do make a second Robo is how fast of a greater Spire are you facing. There's nothing worse than hitting that like 8th Immortal and being like, you know what? I'm comfortable moving out. And then you get slammed by 300 Broodlings and you're like, well, it turns out it's too late. You gotta keep your eye on that. Another Warp Prism coming up, or is that his... Did he lose?
Well, that's first one. He never made another one, right?
Never made another one.
Yeah.
He's actually on... Wow. What
Really?
a non... Can you show that again?
Yeah, it's a very, very calm game so far.
This isn't even a war. This
Well,
is
that's about to become
unruly
one.
neighbors. Yeah, okay, we're gonna have the war.
Okay, and we
Look at
see
this
that
army.
MaNa is super
Can't
prepared at the
believe
front.
that.
I love the shield batteries at the front, actually. This is so clever.
Look at the army. He's like, yeah, come on. You have to know something's up. Those are Archons, right?
Yeah.
He brought Archons. I like it.
Well, Revelation.
Look at this Zerg. He's like, look at my army. Oh, I'm gonna attack you.
It's coming across.
24 supply of stuff. It's like, no, that's not it.
Wow, but MaNa is he's super prepared. Like you said, he just had a really good read and said, okay, well, snipe off in the Archon is nice, but
That's what you get with MaNa, though. Like, MaNa's got really cool micro, but it's kind of like a sloppy, chaotic micro. And he himself says it. When you watch the stream, he'll talk about it. He wants the game to get chaotic. But that's what you'll get. You'll get some, like, oh my god, amazing move, and then you'll be like, well, you didn't pick that up. But that's the level of play.
Okay, snags a couple of units over there. The Immortal count is really starting to build up, and that Lurker Den is on the way once again. We do have +2 weapons about to finish up here for MaNa, as the 4th base is actually trying to go up, but this is going to still be an opportunity here, where MaNa can move across the map pretty soon. Wow, 7 more Drop Overlords just morphed in.
You hit that Rotterdam octave on that 4th base. It was really good. So that'll be like 11 Overlords or something? Drop
10,
Overlords?
yeah, 10 Drop Overlords now on the map.
Thank you. People call them Drop Overlords. That's cutting too many corners. Drop Overlords, please. Prefer to be called that. Now, middle of the map, a lot of the army kind of circling around. One of the other things to keep your eye on, though, with Lurkers, that's nice. But you're heading into a Protoss that's prepared for it. They're kind of late Lurkers, because that's the, like, C-Tech, right? He went with the drop as kind of the other strategy. And I'm not trying to say that Lurkers are bad almost at any time, but if there was a time, Ravi, it would be when there's how many Immortals out?
7? 7 Immortals.
What, 2 more on the way, probably? Something along those lines?
Well, actually, no more Immortals being made.
7.
There is the Stargate, though, that was planted down with a fleet beacon behind it now.
It's not great, is my point. There's the tools to deal with them.
Yeah. Oh boy, especially if there's just half the army is not quite there. The Lurkers going to be engaging directly against these Immortals. The rest of the army tries to come in from behind. They're going to be able to snipe off some of the High Templars, but at what cost, Jeff?
Cost of life, and then there's like this.
Oh, the Immortals! They're not killing off the lurk. Oh my god, because they were so focused on the army, they actually just died to the lurkers also.
God.
Oh.
Commentate this. Like, I know what it looks like when I play. I'm like, lurkers by themselves, let's get them, boys! And then you jump on me, you're like, those are lurkers!
They still do
Run
damage!
away!
Oh.
That fight was so ugly, and please, by the way, nobody in this Twitch chat, nobody at home, don't start to tell me that Lambo designed that fight. That's a Zerg that was caught out of position and just crushed him anyways.
Yeah, I think the big thing about that is we see that MaNa's going to do his best to defend here, but he just doesn't have the tools he needs to actually make this defense happen.
Oh, fantastic concave by Lambo. I was talking about being out of position earlier. Well, that was not it. That was just amazingly well played. And MaNa, if there is a sin to be had for him, it's that he too takes too many fights, right? Like he's never seen a fight that he's like, you know what, I don't think I can take that. He learns mid-fight that it might be a fight he shouldn't take, but there's that little baby punch again. That's kind of the MaNa GG's like, well, you know, there's harass. And you're like, okay, there's harass, but you're dead back at home, right? He's like, you sure bet I am. Absolutely I'm dead.
Yeah. A little unfortunate there. And Lambo just like the 10 overlords, the trap overlords would be like, I'm just going to go to your main. I don't actually have to try and move through a choke point and through the high templars or anything. We'll just set up the lurkers here.
Well done by Lambo. Really sick play from him.
Really well played.
And it's fun. We're seeing, I don't know. It's just nice seeing this elevated level of Zerg play because it's like fantastic positioning in that last fight and just very solid decision making. I like the choice to go with drop this game as he secures the second win in a row even, by the way. It's 2 wins in a row.
2 wins in a row. This is a best of 5, so MaNa's not out of it just yet, but after that last game and even the first game, this is looking like it's going to be a pretty rough road for MaNa.
Well, he's got to win 3 in a row against Lambo in a matchup that Lambo would probably tell you is his best. A lot of those Zergs right now are feeling their PVZs very, very strong. They won't tell you that on Twitter though, but they will tell you. I mean, it comes up statistically, I suppose. So it's gonna be tough for MaNa, and it's hard too because in both games, I'm like, good idea, good execution, and then it's just that one pivotal moment in these 2 games so far. It's been engaging lurkers, and it's unfortunately, I do feel like you have to fall to you have to have like Neeb and Showtime level patience where you're like, oh, lurkers, it must be the perfect fight. And I'm not even like, there's no joke here. I'm not even being facetious or weird.
I know what you mean.
You literally cannot just jump into him. You have to take the perfect fight.
The funny thing also is about that situation is that because the funny thing is if those lurkers are actually targeted down by those immortals toward even the mid part of that fight, and the immortals don't just target fire down the roaches and the hydras, more of those lurkers die. And while it's still not a great situation for MaNa, I think he actually still walks away in a much better trade there. And he's maybe with the harassment there, it's like, you know what, I maybe start to see some hope of survival there. It's still not great, but I think that even those small little things actually make a huge difference between catastrophic failure. There's suddenly nothing really here for MaNa to defend, and you know, you kill off the lurkers, the immortals survive, and they trade out a little bit better. I think like the difference in immortals killing off those lurkers just like 4 seconds earlier in the fight is a world of difference.
I disagree, but
okay. Fair enough.
The third wave of units that showed up was just a lot. You know, maybe you're right. If you go back a couple of weeks, guys, I was talking about 4 Marauders beating, what was it, 4 Stalkers or 3 or in a shield battery, and you being the
very
strangely committed guy.
I was okay. Do you know how much you made fun of me for that?
Oh, come on.
It was like 5 different games you brought that up.
But for me, it's not very much.
No, that's not.
It could have been a lot more.
It could have been a lot more. But I was very vindictive about it. I went back, I like got home off my plane, and it was
doesn't feel right.
I was like, no. I was right. I like turned on my monitors. I'm like, I'm unit testing this. And then I sent you a video clip of it.
Then you edited the stats on the units to prove your point and make it right.
You know, I was hoping you wouldn't notice that part, but
man, it keeps flipping around on these screens, by the way, and the golden light remains in the same place. There's something going on here. I know. That's what I'm saying.
All right, well, we're going to be starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the red Protoss player from Team Liquid. He is MaNa. And spine down here in the bottom right, it is our blue Zerg player sitting up 2-0. He is Lambo from Team Clash.
right. We had a bit of a Serral bopping in the first series, which was to be expected. The second series has been a little bit more interesting, which is not saying much, but still a bopping, I would say. I'd say Lambo had this idea of like, all right, let's try something, and then default to lurkers. And the lurkers have confounded MaNa both times. He seemed to be in a good position. Lurker showed up, and he just he couldn't endure.
I know you've talked about how you just need to have the perfect engagements versus lurkers, but is there anything else that you'd like to see done differently from MaNa? To help deal with them a little bit better, like to give them the unit composition to engage them earlier, or like revelations or something?
He has the right unit composition, and that army did look out of position. Like I'm a staunchly Protoss player, and when I saw that, same thing. We connected our callas, and I was like, "Go for it, brother!" And he was like, "I will from Io, show me done." And then he stomped forward. But then there was just this weird second and third wave of Zerg units behind that. And it's specifically that it was Roach Hydra, by the way, because Storms went down. And if that's just pure Hydra laying or something, then absolutely MaNa wins that fight. But because there's Roaches, Storm just kind of bounces off of them, and they tank so well against Zealots and that kind of stuff that it just negated what MaNa had. And because, like you were pointing out, the Immortals were just kind of shooting a little bit of everything, a little bit. Unfortunately, that DPS remained pretty high for Lambo, and his army just melted under that. So I guess to answer your question, it would be to circle back to the same thing that he's doing. He's had a great opening. His composition's wonderful, but probably take a book out of the Showtime book and play a little bit more defensive. And then when those lurkers do show up, you got to take the perfect fight.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because like I almost go back to game 1 though, and I'm thinking like he was really defensive there. He actually,
but a bad fight.
It was a bad fight, and I think
a tough map for lurkers.
Yeah, and I guess arguably also he was defensive, but he was defending his third when the attack came at his fourth, and then he tried to move in before he got to the natural, which I guess kind of makes sense, but at the same time it's like you're kind of then still attacking into the burrowed lurkers instead of catching them while they're unburrowed. So
counterattack's the way to do it, and MaNa's done it in both games. Okay, so
not gonna go for the Stargate this game though.
All right, well this is
wow. I've not seen Blink Stalkers in PvZ for a while.
I saw it yesterday in my ladder session when I tried it.
Were you playing Hitman?
No, but I'll tell you, this is like still. I mean, hopefully MaNa makes me a believer. This used to work way back in the day, and I'm talking Wings of Liberty / early HOTS. But then there's the games where you frustrate and they're like, no, I've won the first 3 fights. I feel like I'm winning. And there's just enough speedlings to get a surround on you, and there's queens and roaches or whatever the heck, adding just that little extra DPS. And then you go, oh, that's right, stalkers don't actually do damage, and you lose.
I'm trying to think about like meta in the current meta though. Would a Zerg player have that many units made around this time? I guess that if he moves in and sees this and doesn't see the stalkers themselves, he'll look and see, okay, Twilight Council researching something that's probably resonating glaives. But
no, this is the problem with it. You're not wrong, Ruby. Like I love this is great that MaNa's putting this on for us. It looks okay on paper, but Zergs in the panic of this stage, by the way, they make lings and queens, and that's actually the answer. Unless a map gives you this really ridiculous angle where you can blink and warp prism or something like that, which he doesn't have.
Yeah.
Then you're just blinking back. So Lambo can lose here. He'd have to identify he's getting attacked and just throw things into it haphazardly, and if he does that, sure. But if he waits for like 40 lings and 4 or 5 queens, forget about it.
Interesting positioning for this Roach War, and that could, I mean, I think that there are a lot of lings
should make
here,
roaches. Well, he is.
Yeah. But okay, lings are going to get the full surround. The stalkers have to blink back. They do find a nice kind of wall that they can sit at, and hey, the shield batteries are going to pair nicely with needs to make sure that that creep does not go any further forward, though, because if it does, can't build anymore.
All right. Make me a believer, MaNa. Right now I am not. He pulls back.
Ooh, I like this. The shield batteries are also acting as a bit of a wall for these lings, but there we go. Corrosive Bile going to be coming down on top of these stalkers. Shield batteries are not quite finished up.
And who?
Lambo is going to be able to take down the pylon, depowering the shield batteries.
Oh, he even dunked on it.
Wow.
There's no probe here, right?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, those 2 of the saddest shield batteries you've ever seen. Like the ruins of Ire. They sit there doing nothing.
And he's got some more stalkers reinforcing. He is committed to this. He's down to 30 workers, so he doesn't really have a fallback plan. And His Stalkers are getting surrounded. He's blinking out, but he's still losing Stalkers in the process. I mean, the whole point of Blink Stalkers is supposed to trade as effectively and efficiently as possible. Hopefully not losing any units, but it's hard in this situation not to.
Sarah would have counterattacked with like 8 lings already, just to buy some attention and make him warp in at home. This is the best shot he's got, is what's happening right now. He's going to pick off most of the Spore Crawler, but to your point from earlier, he has to go on to creep so far even just to get there, and slow warpins behind this. And if he leads him back to that pylon, and like you said, he's not building probes, that's actually it. So Lambo's like accumulating mass, getting more units, he's triple the economy, he's whatever the word is for 18 times more production. And MaNa warped in back there. No, that's the army.
I think he walked around.
That's the whole army, isn't it?
Yeah.
Show it again. Oh, okay, it was half it.
No.
I thought it was like 6 Stalkers.
He didn't lose that much.
That's how bad this is, guys.
But I think what he was trying to do is he's trying to back off and get Lambo to maybe make more drones. But Lambo's just making more units. He's got 5 more Overlords on the way to make sure that he is absolutely going to be able to commit to making more units. And he's not droned up at all since this last attack.
And this is it. Now, the unfortunate part about this, by the way, is there's no pylon over here. There's no warpers. So he's going to, like, bounce up there, do some damage. This is pretty good. It's okay. It's cool that he showed up here the whole time. Look at the lings. Top of the map. Hello.
Looking for the surround.
Come on down.
It's actually not that many lings, though. So I think, yeah, with the gradual... No. I mean, it's a better trade, but it's still not enough. And now we start to see pro production.
When Rubby says no to himself in response to what he just said. Oh, man. MaNa. I sing your praises the first 2 games, but this was dead on arrival. And you watch him win after I say all this, but it just, I can't see it.
Lambo is such a good read on this game, though, because the moment that MaNa actually stopped committing is the moment that he started droning.
Yeah. And here is the Protoss version of GG. It's where you take your gases at a Nexus. I would have liked the Dark Shrine as something, I guess. You can pick off the Spore Call really good, pick off a couple of Overseers and maybe the DTs.
Yeah, I mean, the lair was only just finished up right now, so there would have been maybe some room for that. And hey, I've actually seen Blink Stalker, Blink DT work on some European players like Cougar.
Get out of here. You're taking us to places I can't even imagine.
No, I don't think that's going to be MaNa's plan in this game. But here comes the big surround. MaNa still has Blink off cooldown, but I mean, how far is he really going to be able to get against this many Blink? Oh, he finds a little bit of a wall here. He's going to be losing quite a few Stalkers in the process.
Yeah. It's so fun. Everything he's doing with this is like, that's pretty cool. That's good. The game's left this behind. This doesn't work against a player at the level of Lambo. They just don't. Lambo didn't see it coming. He didn't scout it. He only saw it when the Stalker showed up at his creep. There's no unlucky build, by the way. Like, Lambo could have greedily added 10 more drones and probably still survive. It just would have been closer, I guess. Yeah. But this is what this can do, and you know, it's unfortunate.
Okay, well, Stalkers are going to do their absolute best to try and defend this third, but if they can't defend the third, and it looks like they're going to have a lot of trouble with it, then that kind of goes down all of the hopes and dreams of MaNa here. As this was game number 3, he was sitting down 2-0. This will make it a 3-0 in a single elimination bracket that will knock MaNa at a WCS Challenger. Just one step away from those semifinals.
GG. 3-0 for Lambo. Nicely played. And I'm sorry to be the mega pessimistic Protoss caster on the desk this whole time, but I'm telling you, like, some players have experimented with this tactic, but the raw and brutal answer is Zergs have gotten to a place where they are so good at their macro, they are so strong about kind of their core strengths, and that is just that Lings and Queens can defend early game, and unless you show up with something really crazy, or the Zerg got way too greedy, it's just not going to work. And Blink Stalkers, I mean, you have to think back, when this did work, by the way, you didn't have slow warp-ins. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, bit of a tough spot. And I almost wonder if there was just some specific preparation that he was thinking like, oh, well, you know, most Zerg players this wouldn't work against, but like maybe something Lambo does specifically on Catalyst, and I've played a bunch of games and he likes to skip something. Like maybe there's something going through MaNa's head that we just don't know about, but I agree with you, Jeff. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be an easy build to make work. But either way, it does mean that Lambo's going to move on. He's going to be facing off versus Cyril in those semifinals. And big congrats to him. He has done really, really well so far.
Lambo's got a good ZvZ. That is Cyril, of course, and you've heard us talk about our love for Cyril, but as it is due. But Lambo, a good ZvZ player as well. Definitely a risk, I guess is what I would say. If there, it'd be the biggest upset there is. But anyways, this is the next match here. Here, Marine versus U Thermal, and that's going to be an awesome TVT.
Yep, we're going to be going back with Nate for that Terran versus Terran in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're watching WCS Challenger.